Rain poured over the small city streets as James locked up his diner late that night. He was tired, ready to go home, until he saw a young woman sitting by the window outside. Her clothes were soaked, and beside her sat a little boy, no more than 5 years old, clutching his empty stomach. The mother's voice trembled as she whispered, "We'll eat tomorrow, baby." Those 4 words stopped James cold. He watched the boy try to smile, pretending to be strong, even as hunger dimmed his eyes. Something inside James broke. He stepped outside, opened the diner door again, and said softly, "Come in. Please." The woman shook her head, embarrassed. "We can't pay," she said. But James smiled, unlocking the kitchen lights. "Tonight it's on me." He warmed soup, grilled sandwiches, and placed them before the pair. The boy's hands trembled as he reached for the spoon. The mother stared, her eyes filling with tears. James sat quietly across from them and whispered, "Eat today." The little boy's first spoonful seemed to melt years of hunger and worry from his tiny face. His mother watched, covering her mouth to stifle a sob. James pretended not to notice. He just kept the food coming. Hot soup, bread, a small piece of pie he'd saved for himself. When the boy finished, he looked up and whispered, "Thank you, mister." James smiled. "You're welcome, buddy." As the woman helped her son wipe his hands, she said quietly, "We lost our home last month. I've been looking for work, but no one hires someone with a child." Her voice cracked. "We've been living near the bus station." James listened in silence. He had owned this diner for years, but it had never felt emptier than it did tonight, until they walked in. After they finished eating, the mother tried to fold a worn dollar bill into his hand. James gently pushed it back. "You've already paid me," he said. She frowned, confused. "With what?" "With hope," he replied softly. "I forgot what it felt like to feed someone who truly needed it." As they stood to leave, the boy tugged on James's sleeve. "Will we ever see you again?" James knelt, smiling through the ache in his heart. "I hope so, kiddo." But as they stepped back into the cold night, James couldn't shake the feeling that he was meant to do more than just serve a meal. Something about that child's eyes, bright, innocent, and full of quiet courage, stayed with him long after the door closed. The next morning, James walked into his diner early, but the warm smell of coffee and pancakes didn't bring him peace. All night, he'd thought about the little boy and his mother. He couldn't get her words out of his head. "We'll eat tomorrow." He stepped outside and scanned the street. Rain had stopped, but the air was still heavy with cold. Down by the bus station, he saw the same small figure, the boy, wrapped in a thin blanket, asleep in his mother's lap. James crossed the street quietly, holding 2 brown paper bags filled with breakfast. When the mother woke, startled, he smiled. "You left before I could say thank you," he said softly. Tears filled her eyes again. "You've done enough, sir. We'll be fine." But James shook his head. "No one should have to survive like this." He sat beside them, handing the boy a warm sandwich. "Eat first," he said gently. "We'll talk after." As they ate, he asked her name. "Maya," she said quietly. "And this is Noah." James learned that she had once worked as a bookkeeper before the company downsized. She'd spent her savings keeping Noah in school, until there was nothing left. When she tried to thank him again, James said, "I have a small storage room at the diner. It's warm, clean. You can stay there until you get back on your feet." Maya's lips trembled. "You don't even know us." James smiled softly. "I don't have to. Sometimes doing the right thing doesn't need a reason." That night, for the first time in months, Maya and Noah slept under a roof, and James, alone in his office, realized they'd already begun to change him. A week passed, and the diner felt warmer than ever, not just because of the coffee or the morning sun, but because of the laughter that now echoed through it. Maya had insisted on helping out to repay James. She cleaned tables, washed dishes, and soon began taking orders with a smile that customers couldn't forget. Little Noah became everyone's favorite guest. He sat at the counter each morning, coloring on napkins while his mom worked. James would sneak him an extra pancake, pretending it was an accident every time. Business, surprisingly, began to grow. Regulars told their friends about the kind man who helped a mother and son. And soon, more people came not just for food, but for the feeling of home that filled the place. One afternoon, a well-dressed woman walked into the diner. She watched Maya take orders, her hands steady and graceful. When she finished her meal, she asked quietly, "Have you ever done bookkeeping?" Maya froze. "Yes. I used to before." The woman smiled. "We're hiring at my firm. You come highly recommended." She slid a business card across the table. Maya's eyes filled with tears as she turned to James. "I can't believe this." He grinned, pretending not to choke up. "Believe it. You earned it." Weeks later, Maya started her new job. But every morning before work, she and Noah stopped by the diner, their second home. One evening, James found a note taped to the counter. "You taught us that kindness isn't about what you have, it's about what you share. Thank you for giving us today." James folded the note carefully, smiling through tears. For the first time in years, he whispered to himself, "Maybe I wasn't saving them, maybe they were saving me."